Hi friends, welcome to today's video class. Friends, if you're watching my video for the first time, please subscribe iShoes English Grove and click on the bell icon. Aristotle once said, "The aim of art is not to represent the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance." Today, we shall discuss an excerpt from an article by Nathalie Trouveroy titled Landscape of the Soul. Ethics and Spirituality in Chinese Painting in the first part and Getting Inside Outsider Art in the second part. About the author. Nathalie Trouveroy is an art historian who came in limelight because of a translated work, City of Jinns, a book by William Dalrymple. She has travelled various cities of the world. She holds a master's degree in history of art and archaeology from the University of Belgium. The main theme of the chapter is about arts. It revolves around the art of painting told through the help of various stories. We learn about Chinese painters and their works as well as the story behind them. Similarly, the second part explores the concept of the art brute, meaning the art of the ones who have no rights. Thus, we learn a great deal about art and its history. In the part taken from Landscape of the Soul, Ethics and Spirituality in Chinese Painting, we learn about the art of painting. The author begins with a small anecdote about an 8th century Chinese painter, Wu Daozi. 8th century painter Wu Daozi was asked by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong to paint a landscape to decorate a palace wall. After completion, the master hid his work behind a screen. Only the emperor could see it. The emperor admired the wonderful scene. He discovered forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the enormous sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight. The painter told the emperor that a spirit lived in the cave which was at the foot of the mountain. As he clapped his hands, the entrance to the cave opened. He told the emperor that the inside of the cave was splendid and offered to show His Majesty the way. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him. The emperor was astonished. Before he could move or speak a word, the painting had vanished from the wall. Not a trace of Wu Daozi's brush was left, and the artist was never seen again in this world. Such stories played an important part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. They helped the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. These stories reveal the spirit in which art was considered. Similarly, there is another story about another Chinese painter. Here, the painter would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted. He feared that it would fly out of the painting. The writer then compares these stories to an old story from his own country, Flanders. She finds this story most representative of Western painting. The writer contrasts this story with the European tale of Antwerp in the 15th century. A master blacksmith called Quentin Metzes had fallen in love with the painter's daughter, but was afraid their love would not be accepted because of his profession. To win his love, Quentin sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a very realistic-looking fly on the master's latest panel. The fly was so realistically painted that the painter tried to swat it away. It had such gentle realism that it resembled a real one. Impressed by his work, the painter admitted Quentin as an apprentice in his studio and also let him marry his daughter. Quentin later went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. The above stories from China and Flanders illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve. In Europe, the aim is a perfect illusionistic likeness. In Asia, the stress is on the essence of inner life and spirit. The emperor may commission a painting and appreciate its outer appearance, but only the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the region he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. "Let me show the way," said Wu Daozi. The word way, according to the author, has two meanings: path or the method, and the mysterious works of the universe. The painter tells the king the path to the cave or the method to reach the cave. By entering the cave and disappearing from the world, he explains the mysterious works of the universe. These contrasting stories are used to highlight the difference between the Chinese and European paintings. A Western figurative painting is meant to reproduce an actual view of the scene, whereas a classical Chinese landscape is based on an imaginative, inner or spiritual approach. The Chinese art aims at achieving the essence of inner life and spirit, while the European form of art is trying to achieve a perfect illusionistic likeness. The European painter wants the viewer to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. On the other hand, the Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one. He does not want the viewer to borrow his eyes. He wants the beholder to enter his mind. One can enter a Chinese landscape from any point or move across leisurely and come back. The Chinese view of art also requires an active participation of the viewer. This participation is both physical and mental. The Chinese landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space which is expressed as shanshui. This concept is expressed as shanshui, which is a Chinese word. It literally means mountain water. The two elements used together represents the word landscape. Mountains and water are two elements of an image. They also reflect the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, whereas water is yin. The mountain rises vertically towards heaven. Mountain is stable, warm, and dry in the sun. Water is horizontal and rests on the earth. Water is fluid, moist, and cool. Yin is the receptive and feminine aspect of universal energy. Yang is its complementary part. Yang is active and masculine. The interaction of yin and yang is a fundamental notion of Taoism. There is an essential third element also. It is the middle void where the interaction takes place. The middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. The concept of the middle void can be made clear by comparison to the yogic practice of pranayama. We breathe in, retain breath, and breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. Hence, the white, unpainted space has a special importance in Chinese landscape, and it is the interaction between the mountain yang and the water yin. Let's pursue the role of man in the space between the heaven and the earth. The writer assigns a fundamental role to man. In space between heaven and earth, he becomes the medium of communication between poles of the universe. His presence is essential as he is the eye of the landscape according to Francois Chang. He occupies an important position in the universe. He is not lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks. Man's presence is essential as he is the most important feature or the eye of the landscape. We cannot see without eye. Similarly, the universe is incomplete without man. In the next section of the chapter, we have an article published in the Hindustan Times dated 28 August 2005 by Brinda Suri. The article is titled as Getting Inside Outsider Art. Outsider art was first mooted in 1940 by a French painter named Jean Dubuffet. The art brut or raw art are the works of art in their raw state as regards cultural and artistic influences. Anything and everything from a tin to sink to a broken down car could be material for a work of art. Then, the art of untrained visionary was the minority interest. The outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in international modern art. This particular type of work is the creation of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet they show talent and artistic insight. The work of 80-year-old Nick Chen is India's biggest contribution to outsider art. He has won worldwide recognition for his unique contribution to outside art. Using stone and recycled material, he has created many sculptures at Rock Garden, Chandigarh. The recently released 50th Scene, Spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine pioneer in outsider art publication, has featured Nick Chen and his rock garden sculpture Woman by the Waterfall on its anniversary issue's cover. His art has been highly acclaimed worldwide. How a single man's vision can make a difference and produce a unique art. The Swiss Commission for UNESCO has honored him by organizing a 5-month interactive show called Realm of Nick Chen. His work has been displayed in the leading museums of Switzerland, Belgium, France, and Italy. In short, Nick Chen has taken outsider art to dizzying heights and richly deserves the worldwide acclaim. In this video, we have learnt that art is an infinite form which has a rich history and it cannot fit inside any certain box or label. It has a life of its own. See you soon in our next video. Stay tuned.